Hello, I'm Pamela Davis. Welcome to episode 157 of the Well Done Life podcast. And hello, welcome to episode 157 of the Well Done Life podcast. I'm your host, Pamela Davis. If you are new here, hey, how are you? Welcome. I am so glad that you are here this week. I hope you stay for a very long time. And if you've been here before, you guys know the deal. I love you deep. Thank you so much for continuing to support me on this journey. And I definitely hope you will continue to stay around and tell a friend so that they can stay around too. Before we get started with this week's episode, you guys know how I work. I'm like a broken record, but I love it because it is so important for me to build this foundation right. I mean, we're building a safe space, and with this safe space, I look at it like a house, and we need to make sure that our house is built on very solid stock. So for me, the two most important things that I can use to build this safe space, this house, is clarity and love. Clarity is really straightforward. I just want to make sure that you understand that the Well Done Life podcast or the Well Done Life brand is actually something that I put together for women because I believe that women are the foundation of society. I think we need places and spaces where we can be our most authentic self, where we can laugh and cry and share and learn and grow from each other. It's really important because iron sharpens iron. So this is a space where your iron can be let loose and sharpened, and you can go out there and hopefully conquer the world with some other friends. So welcome. And then that leads me into my favorite thing, my second tenet. And it is really my favorite thing because I love love. I believe in love. I'm a sucker for love. I've told y'all numerous times. And everything that we do in this space is going to be rooted in love. So I like to make sure that every podcast, I get a chance to send you prayers because I am truly a believer that when two or more people are praying in agreement, our prayers are magnified. And I think we need to pray for each other more. So I like to make sure that I share my love with you through prayer. So this week, and it has definitely been a day. I cannot stress what type of day. It's actually been a week, but it has been a day. And I am just so grateful to be able to send you these prayers because I definitely am going to be speaking to myself as I am speaking to you. But our first prayer that I want to send to you is the prayer of peace. I want you to have peace from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. I want you to treat it like love this week because there are a lot of things out here that are going to disturb your peace. And it is very important that you prioritize your energy, that you prioritize your mindset, because when you are going to be faced with different challenges, like I've actually learned today firsthand, when you are protecting your peace, when you know who you belong to, when you recognize how old situations are coming back, because no matter how healed you are on the journey, you are going to be faced with these challenges that you may have overcome again. And I know that that probably sounds crazy, but it's true because nobody ever tells you that on the healing journey, you're going to be 100%, resolved, protected against the things that you had to work through the first time. No, it's going to come back again. It's going to come back in a season when you don't expect it. And so you have to make sure that your peace is so guarded, that your energy is so guarded, that you are so rooted in who you are, that when you start to see old signs, old energy, old schemes coming back to you again, you are able to clearly recognize what is going on, and you are able to speak over yourself into this situation and move through it. Because yes, today I had that example firsthand. I was in a situation that just kind of took me by surprise, and I instantly fretted for a moment. I did, because I'm like, I don't understand it. And I felt out of control. But at the same time, then I remembered who I belong to, that I have been through this situation before. And so me seeing this now gave me an opportunity to clearly be able to recognize what's going on, to see the signs. And when I'm talking to other people and seeing how they're navigating through it, because it wasn't just something that affected me, it was something that affected a lot of people that I know. And we all were just kind of like trying to navigate how we're going to move through this, because we don't have a lot of details. We only know certain things that have taken place. And I'm like, I've been here before. I have been here before. And so I need to stay rooted in who I am, knowing that I have overcome this situation before, knowing that no matter what the outcome is, I'm going to be protected. And I need to stay in my peace. And in that, I recognized in myself that it also means that I need to lean further into my second prayer for you, which is gratitude, because they're working hand in hand in that situation, meaning that I am grateful for being able to say that I have overcome this before. So if I am faced with it again, I know exactly what to do. Even though the situation is going to be different, the timing is different, and where I am in life is different, I'm still equipped to be able to navigate through. And a lot of times we need to be able to remember that even though you have seen this situation before, remember you've healed through it, you've learned through it. Don't let it shake you. Don't let it rock you. Remember who you are and that you are equipped to navigate through it. And a lot of times it's very hard because obviously fear takes over, but it's again, being able to speak to your fears, being able to give yourself that peace so that you can remember that you are grateful for the experience that you've had and the fact that you have moved through that journey. So I am truly sending you all prayers of peace and gratitude, because don't ever forget all the things that you have gone through, all the work that you have done is not in vain, because when you are faced with situations that are similar or something new that's still kind of reminiscent of what you've gone through before, you will be able to recognize, if you remember who you are, what you've been through, that you've gone through it before, and you will get through it again. And you are equipped and prepared for this situation. So that's why it is so important to remember that you embrace peace and gratitude. So I'm definitely sending you to those prayers, but I'm also sending you along with that line, the prayer of understanding. Because again, when you are faced with things that are robbing your peace and you are trying to sit in gratitude, it is very important to lean into your understanding. And when I say lean into your understanding, it goes back to kind of like what I said. It's not that you may have truly seen the scenario that you're facing or the decision that you're dealing with or whatever clearly. You may not have, but you have to lean into understanding. And when I mean understanding, I mean lean into the understanding that you are protected divinely, that God and the universe are protecting you and guiding you, and that you are equipped to be able to navigate through this. When you lean into that understanding of yourself, it brings you peace. It helps you sit in gratitude. It all works together. So it is very important that you have that as well, because at this level of life that we are doing, we don't have time to be disturbed in our soul. We don't have time to have our energy blocked or manipulated and not working as effectively as it can be. So we have to make sure that we take control, lean into peace, lean into gratitude, lean into understanding so that we can move through the situations that we are facing. So I'm definitely sending you those three prayers. And of course, I always want to send you prayers of love. It is so important that you have love. I want you to have good, real, reciprocal love. At this level of life that we're doing, that's what we are all aspiring for. That's what we all deserve. And it's a partnership with that. You know, it's not one-sided, reciprocity. So it's not always about trying to have someone treat us the way that we feel like we deserve to be treated. We have to also be willing to lean in to what other people need and be willing to treat them that same way as well. We don't want to make sure that we're caught up in these one-sided relationships because, you know, there is a lot of conversation and chatter in regards to, you know, if he would, you know, if he wanted to, he would, and vice versa, all of these things. But remember, the way that people react to certain situations or people, it is based upon their own lived experiences. And we don't really know what people are going through. We don't understand what they've been through. And so their level of capacity for love and reciprocity is going to be probably different. Now, don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean that it's your responsibility to move these people up to your level, but it is your responsibility to be clear about what you need, to give people the opportunity to show you what they're capable of, and to be open enough to, you know, be willing to teach people, to show people, to execute that, to model what this type of treatment really feels like, especially if there's someone of value that you want in your life. We can't just expect people to get it. Like, that doesn't work. I mean, I think about it like when we were kids, our parents had to tell us numerous times how to do something. It wasn't like we instantly got it. And if they could be patient with us, then we can be patient with other people. So I'm just kind of throwing that out there because when I was scrolling on social media today, I did see a post by one of my friends, Maya D, and it was a really thought-provoking post because it was like, yeah, I don't want to get so caught up in trying to block my energy and guard who I am as a person that I put unrealistic expectations on other people. And then I start to act like what I'm trying to protect myself against. I don't want to be so caught up in that rigidity of, just trying to, again, guard and protect. Because a lot of times guarding and protecting is a trauma response. Sometimes we have to be careful. You don't want to be so guarded and protected that you are walled off and people can't get into you. So just, again, kind of throwing it off. I know that's like a little bit of tangent, but I definitely wanted to bring that out there because reciprocal love is what you deserve, what everyone deserves, and you're a light. So remember, you want your light to shine through and give people a chance to show you who they are. And once they show you, if they're not able to adjust after you've given them an opportunity within whatever works for your level of understanding, your boundaries, then maybe you do have to love them from a distance. But just don't be closed off, essentially, is what I'm trying to say in a long-winded way. So those are my prayers for you this week. I do hope that they will give you strength. Like I said, it has been a day. And I apologize. I'm sure in those prayers, you're probably wondering, well, what did she experience today that she can't really talk about it? I just cannot, because there's still so many details that I just don't know. I only know half of the situation. But from the half that I know, it just reminded me and triggered me to think about the fact that I'm very grateful that I have been able to be in this situation previously, learn the lessons that I needed to learn, and I'm able to sit in peace right now in the middle of chaos. And I know I'm not the only person going through those things. So that is why I wanted to send those prayers to you this week, because with the journey of healing comes many obstacles sometimes, and you have to be able to draw back on your previous experiences to remind you that you were equipped to move through them. So again, those are my prayers, sending you so much love this week. I'm recording on Friday, July 7th at 9:53 p.m. Like I said, it has been a day, and I am so grateful to be here. But I do have a wonderful guest for you. I'm very excited to introduce her, but I do want to say thank you to everyone for their support of last week's episode. I really hope you enjoyed the reset, and I hope you're finding your reset moment, because I think, like I said, there is this season that we're in where everybody is in a reset kind of mindset, kind of pivoting and trying to, figure out where they want to go. And this is the perfect time. This is the, second half of the year. We have opportunity. There is still opportunity for you to achieve the goals that you have set up for yourself. And if you need to pivot, don't be afraid to pivot, because honey, I think I'm on like my 4th or 5th life. So don't be afraid. It only gets better, and just keep growing and evolving. But this week I have another guest who has made some pivots and journeys and resets in her life. And her name is Brandy Walker. I am very excited to introduce her to you guys. I have met her previously through social media, of course, the big connector. And so we've been trying to sit down and have a conversation, and I'm so glad that we did today. So I'm very excited about sharing her with you and sharing her journey. She is definitely an epitome of the reset and of pivoting and recognizing your worth in that pivot. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of tea, some water, wine, whatever floats your boat. And Brandy will be with you shortly in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. Hi. Thank you so much for having me. I am a fan and a listener of this podcast, so it's amazing to be a guest. My name is Brandy Walker, and I identify as a life coach and entrepreneur. What I do basically is I help people make quantum leaps between here and there. Whatever that looks like in your life, I will help you get there.
Ooh, I like that. Okay, so that totally teed up my first question. Let's talk about quantum leaps, ma'am. Okay, tell me about the last quantum leap that you just took, that you've taken recently.
The last quantum leap that I've taken personally in my life was getting a divorce. To make that jump, I needed to make that move. It was scary, but just making that decision and trusting myself in my decision, it drastically changed the entire last year of my life.
And it's funny because I was going to bring it up later because I had seen your post on Instagram in reference to, you making that decision to break away from it. What makes you define that as a quantum leap for you?
I think for me, I've always had this idea in my mind of what my family would look like. I was not one of those kids that one of those girls that dreamed of the perfect wedding or wedding dress, but I just always knew I am very much a family person and wanted this family life. Like I had it all planned out in my mind, and little by little in my adulthood, that sort of fantasy that I had have been kind of stripping away. And I think most people get to a point in their life, regardless of if it's a relationship, your career, a friendship, even a hobby that you are holding on to, where you have to make the decision to say, am I going to let this go, mourn the loss of this thing, mourn the loss of this idea of what I think it should be, and make the decision just to actually go with the flow of life and the direction that it's taking me. And I would say that's a quantum leap because for so long I was like, okay, I can make this work. I can, I'll do something different. I'll work on myself. I'll try this thing. I'll read this book. And everything in life was just telling me, let it go. Let it go and mourn the idea, really grieve over that perfect life that you had imagined for yourself and live the life that is before you. And so I had to make that leap for myself.
And that's really powerful because, like you said, it's like mourning the life that you perceived it to be versus not. Why do you think that you had that, that transit, like that perception, or how did you get to your perception of the perfect life?
My perception of the perfect life was just based on so much of what I saw on TV, to be honest. I was one of those kids that, I guess before, I don't know what generation right now, Gen Z, Gen X, whatever.
Oh, I know. I don't either. Yeah.
Everybody's got to sit at the TV and hang out type of kid, like stay out of my way, watch your cartoons or whatever. But I had older siblings and they watched older things. So my idea of a perfect life, I realized that my life could be whatever I wanted it to be. That's what watching a lot of television shows taught me. Like I would watch Family Matters and Step by Step and Living Single and all of these different shows. And I'm like, wow, people on TV and in life live a lot differently than my life is. And so if I want, to move to New York and become a journalist, like, Queen Latifah on Living Single, I could do that. Right. Or if I wanted to, live with, my family, have this big extended family, and I could do that. Or if I wanted to just, be the person that traveled the world, I could do that. And so I started to think about, what are things that I enjoy, what makes me happy? And I always came back to this idea of family. Like I really love being around family. I wanted that kind of structure. I wanted mom and dad in the home. I wanted, these things because at least on TV, right, it looked like that worked out. People were happy in that life. And, as I grew, I just took experiences and things that I saw. And I thought, okay, how can I make this my own? How would this look like in my life? And because I fell so in love with those ideas, I really did not want to let it go. I'm like, okay, I could do this. This could work. This could happen. Not realizing that, as you grow, it's okay to dream a new dream.
Oof. Yes. And that's always to me like the hardest part because like you said, you get so fixated on what you want. And I don't know for you, but sometimes it's like this fear, like if I dream another dream, like you're missing out on something, but in reality, you're not. It's just you're elevating, you're expanding yourself to a whole new horizon. And when you made that decision to obviously, have a different dream and bet on yourself and leave your situation, how hard was it after to get back to dreaming a new dream?
It was difficult because, you put a lot of time and effort into things. And I say this about walking away from anything. If you're thinking about changing a job or even something that might seem trivial, like getting a new car for you, right? If you've had your car for a while, you develop a relationship with that car.
Oh, absolutely.
But getting a new car is like, oh my God, what am I doing? Right. Like you feel like you've put so much time and effort into things. And so when they let go, it doesn't actually feel like a release at first. It feels like, oh gosh, now I feel guilty, or now I'm going to have to do so much more work to get back to where I was, or I'm going to have to do so much more work to get something different or better. And I think for me, initially, it did not feel like a release because there was so much to figure out.
Okay.
Right? I did not leave my marriage necessarily with a plan, right? But I made the decision, and then I made the leap, right? And so now it's all the figuring out of what happens next, and how do I go about this, and how do I learn how to trust myself again when I have to make decisions, when I feel like the decisions that I made were not good decisions and have led me here. So it's a lot of that internal work, that really like facing reality and looking at yourself in the mirror and accepting a lot of the things that you have made, a lot of the decisions that you have made, not necessarily as good or bad, but just as decisions, and figuring out what to do with that.
I could only imagine that. And it just makes me instantly think, how did grace work for you in that situation?
Oh my gosh. I love that word, grace. I love that word. As somebody who grew up in the church, I really didn't understand what that word meant. Like, grace, like people just get chances. Like you can mess up, and then something comes in and saves you and fixes things. Why? But grace is really, as I said, once I made the decision, it felt icky. It felt like, maybe I should go back. Maybe I made the wrong decision. And sometimes tough decisions will feel like that. They will not feel good at first. But the grace of it all is that once I made the decision, so many opportunities and other things started opening up for me. People that I would not have connected with, opportunities I would not have had, moments of solitude that I so desperately needed that I could not find when I was in my marriage because I was so busy doing everything and taking care of everybody. I needed that. And that was the grace. The grace was that I could slow down. I could say no. I could begin again, and things will work out.
And to me, that's always the hardest part of the healing journey, like understanding that the grace extends to you too. Like, yes, you can start again. Like, it's okay. You made a mistake, but you learn from that mistake and you move forward. Do you feel like where you are now that you have kind of truly fully healed from that? Or is that something that you constantly have to like remind yourself as you are making decisions and going back? Since you mentioned, you were questioning yourself and now how you make decisions.
Yeah, I think healing is non-linear, right? So it doesn't happen on this perfect pathway that we think it should. However, the great thing about healing is that you can get to a point where it no longer hurts you, right? Like if you were to, I live in a high rise sort of. I'm on the 12th floor. If I were to fall out of this window, right, onto my neighbor's balcony below me, right, I may break a bone or so, right?
Right. Ooh, I was thinking something totally else.
No, there's a balcony underneath me, right? I might fall. I might break a bone. I might be bruised a little bit, and 2 days from now, 2 weeks from now, it's not going to hurt as much as it did when it happened, right? My arm will heal. I may not have full range of that arm as I once did. I might not be bruised any longer. I might still have a scar that reminds me of that. But it doesn't feel how it felt, right? So you get healed to a certain point where there are reminders, right, that you were hurt, that you were impacted by that trauma, but you're not confronting it every single day. I think too that, when it comes to healing, a measure of whether or not you're healed is how you respond to triggers. And so a lot of people who, in relationships and go through breakups, they are terrified to date again. Right? A lot of people who get divorced stop talking to all their married friends because it upsets them, it worries them, it bothers them to see people in a successful or happy marriage. Right? It's a constant reminder that their marriage was a failure, so to speak. And so as I continue to progress, that's going to be my measure. How do I respond now to those things? How do I interact with people who are in happy relationships, right? Do I say, oh, that should have been me? Or do I just enjoy, right? People who are happy, people who are enjoying their lives. Do I celebrate with them, right? And their happy moments and their love? Or do I, separate myself from everyone who is out there enjoying life, right? Mm-hmm. That's really the measure. So yes, I think that, I'm at a place now where I'm in a good place. I'm really happy. I really am enjoying myself and enjoying my life. As it continues to unfold, I'm kind of like I don't know if you read the book, Chandra Rhimes, The Yes Year.
Yes.
I'm kind of in my yes year right now.
Awesome.
In terms of opportunities and everything. So it's a good year.
Oh, I love that. And that is one of my favorite books. That book helped me too, because I needed a yes year, and it was awesome. I did a lot of different things that I could only imagine I wouldn't have done if I had just been my normal doubtful self. So sometimes you have to surrender like that. What is the last thing that you said yes to that you probably wouldn't have if you hadn't been in this yes year?
The last thing I said yes to, oh, that's a good question. Oh, a couple of days ago, I tried caviar for the first time.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice. I wouldn't say I'm a picky eater, but I eat what I eat,
I understand. Everybody has a routine.
I have my things. And, I was out. Well, one, I said yes to going out, and I'm kind of like really a homebody. So I went out, and people were at the table, and they're like, oh, have some caviar. And I was like, I don't know.
I know, it's not
about it. Let me Google. What is this thing? How do I eat it? How do I know if it's okay? And I did. And I was like, oh, wasn't as bad as I thought. Now, will I continue to have it again? Probably not. But it was not like, it's just something I would never do. And I was like, all right, I'll try it.
I love that for you. Yeah. And I mean, hey, even like you said, if you've never had it again, you at least can say, I've done it once. And it's like you have an opinion on it. That's why I always feel like the year of yes also kind of helps, because it forces you things that you would just naturally cut yourself off from. You can't do that anymore. So it keeps you open. Yes. Outside of the year of yes, how else are you keeping yourself open and happy right now?
Well, a part of keeping myself open and happy is really spending time with myself, grounding myself, getting to know myself. I think this happens a lot when people get in relationships. And I say get into relationships. If you start a new friendship, if you have a child, if you get married, you start to do this thing where maybe you have brunch, you're a brunch person, and then you have a child and you're like, oh no, I can't go to brunch. What if the baby cries? Or, I should stop going to brunch. I should be going to play dates, or I should be doing this. Or maybe you are, a person that loves to work out. And now you're like, oh, I usually go work out every day after work, but I can't do that because I got to be available in case this person wants to go out to dinner or go out to here. So I've just been getting back to the things that I like to do, the things that make me happy, like really getting into a morning routine that feels good to me. Mm-hmm. Without really considering anybody else. And yes, that sounds selfish because it is, but being selfish is not a bad thing. It is so important. You have to have those things. So just getting back into my morning routine, I like making playlists and listening to different music. I've definitely been going out more. I haven't traveled in a while, but that'll be coming up too, because I do enjoy doing that.
Okay. I love it. Yeah, you should be doing all those things because, it's all about feeding into you. Since I'm a lover of music myself, and I always feel like music is like the soundtrack of our lives. What song right now kind of classifies where you are in your life?
Oh my gosh, there's this song I was listening to today, and I have had it on repeat, but let me get the name right, because I am also a person that will like sing a song and don't know like the name of it. So let me tell you the actual name of the
Oh,
song.
that's okay. I do that too.
It is India Ari, I Am Light.
Oh yeah, I love that song and I love her. Yeah.
Yes, I love it. It's just been like in the background of everything that I've been doing lately, either in my mind or actually playing as I'm doing something.
Mm-hmm.
I've been stuck on that for like the last 2 weeks.
I love it. And since you are light, how would you describe yourself? Like, let's just say we had never met and you were describing yourself to me as someone who is light. What would you use? What words would you use to describe your light?
I would say light in terms of shining. Like I feel like I do light up a room. And I say that too. And I have noticed these past couple of weeks, like not to like, brag on myself, but
brag on yourself.
People are happy when they see me. Right.
I love that.
It lets me know that I am carrying good energy because people could also be unhappy when they see me, but they are happy. I see people light up when they see me. And that makes me feel good. There's a warmness there. I also say I am light as I am not weighed down by anything. I'm not carrying all the heavy baggage that I once was. So that allows me to move more freely. It allows me to move more quickly. It allows me to have joy in what I'm doing. Like I was I was thinking about this the other day because my son and I were, there's a store not too far from where we live. And so we walked to the store and walked home. And when we got to crossing the street, now my son's going to be 15 next week. So just put that in your mind that he's a teenager. We got to cross the street, the little timer's ticking down, and we decided to skip across the street. And when we got to the end, like we both just started laughing. And it reminded me of Maya Angelou, right? And I've read all of her books. So I'm blanking on which one this is in. I think it's Mom and Me and Mom. I think it's in that one, but she talks about, she was a teenage mother and she always says that she kind of grew up with her son. And she said that she knew that she was a good mother when she could allow herself to still have fun, right? To skip down the street with her son. And I thought about that yesterday. Like, I am really like in a playful place in life, like almost childlike. I laugh a lot. I smile a lot. I'm in a good place. I'm just really happy. I'm open to a lot of things. I'm not, second guessing or allowing my mind to talk me out of things or, say, no, don't do that. I'm not overthinking. So that's what I mean when I say I am light.
I love that you and your son were able to skip across the street. At 15, that means he really still likes you. He thinks you're cool.
Most
he
days.
Totally does. Most days. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. With you making this change in yourself and your life, how do you think your son perceives you, and how has that like impacted your relationship?
Yeah, one of the things that I decided when I was pregnant with my son is that I would be the type of parent that was very transparent. That is kind of my nature as a person. And I never wanted to be the parent that was like hiding things from my child or, keeping secrets because I think that really damages a relationship. I didn't feel like my child would be able to trust me unless I proved myself trustworthy. And how do I do that? Is I am honest with you. I am open with you. Like my son and I, we talk about everything, every little thing. And he knows that he can always talk to me. I tell him, nothing is too big or too small to talk to me about. You are not bothering me. You want to talk through something, right?
Okay.
And so I have always kind of done that with him. And so, as a mom, he has seen kind of my ups and downs, not just being a mom, but he's watched me like start a business and kind of struggle as an entrepreneur. We have moved several times. We have gone through a lot. And I always ask him, I kind of include him in a lot of decisions, right? Before I make a big move, because my son is not like me. I'm like a person that needs change. In fact, like a couple of days ago, I called him out of his room. I was like, hey, I need your help with something. He's like, I will rearrange furniture multiple times a year when I just feel like I need a shift. My son is not like that. My son finds something that he likes. He's going to stick with that forever. right? Oh, I like this cereal. Don't buy anything else. I could eat this cereal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And he
Oh my
was
gosh.
very serious. He would do that, right? He's like, oh my gosh, I love, okra and chicken. Mom, can we have that again tomorrow? And I'm like, oh my gosh, we just had
Oh
that
yeah.
for dinner. Like, I can't do that. So he's very much of very stable and consistent. And I'm kind of all over them. And so as a parent, I have to kind of mediate that and say, like, okay, yes, I am going to change the couch for the 17th time, but let me include you on that. Where do you think it should go? How does it look over here? Right? Did you like it when it was there? And so I have included him in a lot of those conversations to say, hey, life is going to change with us in this way, right? Our relationship's not going to change, right? We're probably going to have to move. These people will no longer be a part of our life. Do you have questions about that? How do you feel about that? Right? What do you want your relationship to look like with this person moving forward? Right? And having those conversations so that they understand sort of where I'm coming from. I don't want it to be a surprise. Right? I don't want you to go later in life and say, "Oh my God, Mom, that's what happened. You never told me." I'm careful about not bringing unnecessary trauma and drama into his life. I also think too that it's important for your children to see you happy, to see you full, to see you joyful, and all of those things. And when they don't, your children get concerned for you, right? They may not know all the details about what's happening, but they know when you're okay and when you're not okay. So it's important for me to show him like what I feel like strength looks like, but also for me to be an example to him that, you don't have to settle. You don't have to tolerate anything you don't want to. And that you can decide at any moment, make a change that you feel benefits your life. And there will be people there to support you, your mom being the first one. So I think that's important too, as I think about, the changes that I have made in my life, for him to know that, look, you don't have to be anywhere you don't want to.
I love that. You guys have such a beautiful relationship. I admire that. And I definitely think that, it's good because it really shows how you are progressing through your healing journey and setting himself up for his, and just growing together. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I definitely could imagine he must be one of your greatest accomplishments.
Oh my God, he is. I tell him that all the time. He's like, I don't get it. I'm like, you just don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, because I just think it's so beautiful with that. And obviously, you like you said, you mentioned you're an entrepreneur, and there's so many different things. I guess talk about, how your journey has led you to where you are now. How can we connect with you? What's your purpose and mission for things?
Yeah, I think when I was younger, I always knew that whatever I was going to do in life, it was going to be helping and uplifting people. I just didn't know what that would look like, because even though I was good in school, I didn't feel like I had like a talent or a skill that like most people around me had. Like, I was not good in sports. I cannot sing. I can barely dance. Like, all of the things that people were into, or people felt very passionate about a certain career, I just didn't. But I knew that I was good at learning and picking up information. I knew that I was good at building relationships with people. And I just kept saying, okay, where might this take me? And so I was, at a young age, open to trying different things. When I started college, I went as an undecided major. I'm like, I'm going to just take a bunch of different classes. I'm going to take Tai Chi. I'm going to take, physics. I'm going to take, the history of education until 1925. Like, I'm going to take all the things and see what happens. And in the meantime, I'm going to build relationships with people and figure out what's going on. What I learned through my college years is that I became a good teacher, right? Not like oh, she's such a great writer. She's going to, help tutor people. But when it came to helping people make decisions, mediating between people and relationships, I was good at that because I am very calm under pressure. And I can always kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel. So when things look messy, right? Like imagine a big ball of whatever kind of rubber bands or headphone wires all tangled up. I'm like, oh, of course this could come apart, right? I can figure this out. And so I just started kind of leaning into what that would look like. And so when I graduated college, I became a teacher. I wanted to be a journalist because I enjoyed writing, and I thought that my way of helping and supporting people would be telling their stories.
Okay.
And so I wanted to be a journalist, but I graduated college at the start of a recession, and wasn't nobody hiring for journalists. It was just not happening. And so I went home, and my mom said, I work out of school. You could work out of school for a time too. You could, you graduate college, you could be a substitute teacher. And I was like, Mom, I don't want to do that. I like kids, but I don't think I could do this classroom thing. And I said, okay, I'll do it. And I started doing that for a while, and that brought me a lot of joy, but I still found myself outside of being in the classroom, helping my adult friends and adults that I knew start things in their life. I've always been a person that helps people initiate, right? If people are on the fence about something, if somebody says, I was thinking about starting this. Okay, let's sit down. Let's come up with a plan for that. Let's build out a timeline. What would that look like for you, right? I've always been interested in helping people accomplish their goals and really get to what I think is the best part of life, where you are living and operating in the space that you want to be in. Not on the outside looking in, not like holding that space up on a pedestal, hoping that you'll get there one day. But I really want to get people there. And so my life coaching journey started almost 9 years ago, where I simply started an accountability group. I made a Facebook post and said, hey, a lot of you are asking me to be your accountability partner. Let's just turn this into a group. Send me your goals and I'll put you in a group chat.
I love it.
And that's what I did. It was me and 7 women to begin with. And then all of those women told somebody, and this group expanded. And because I was a teacher, what it turned into is like, I was doing like weekly videos and lessons. I would give them a weekly challenge, and, they were accomplishing so much. That first group, we ended up having like a reception at the end as people started to like accomplish their goals. And I gave them like a certificate, and I made it a big deal. I put it in a frame for them. And I realized then, when I handed people this frame that said, your certificate of completion of, blah, blah, blah accountability group, and people started crying, right?
Yeah.
And people started saying like how much this group had changed their life. I realized that, okay, this is it. This is kind of what I'm supposed to be doing. Right? This is what I enjoy, and it's having an impact on people. Like, I enjoyed being a teacher too, but I really didn't. Like, I would be in the classroom. I would be looking forward to getting to that group. I would be looking forward to checking that group text. Like, I would be looking forward to that in a way that I really didn't look forward to, like, lesson planning and lecturing and grading papers, reading essays, right? I really didn't look forward to it. And so it just wasn't it. And so, life coaching kind of grew out of that. I decided to take it more seriously and, really train for it and turn that passion and that natural gift into something more solid. And so over the last 8 years, I have been working one-on-one with people, doing groups, workshops and different courses to help people kind of get where they're wanting to go in life. And a lot of that really involves like unpacking the emotional baggage, getting rid of the mental blocks that really hinder people from being successful on their life journey.
I love that, because I think that definitely is a sign that you obviously took your passion and kind of pivoted a little bit. You kind of reset how it kind of worked out. And it's funny because like this has been a season, I found it, almost every woman that I talked to is in a season of resetting. Like we've just we're all pivoting. And I think that happens. It's like you get like on the fourth, fifth iteration of yourself, and you just have to keep going, because that's what we're going to do. We're just going to keep going and going and going. So now that you kind of like found your nesting point with life coaching, I guess like where are you elevating that now, or what direction are you going into?
Yeah. So when I first started, I was just, I started in accountability group. So it was more focused on goal setting. So people would come to me and say, I've been trying to lose weight and I'm struggling, or I would like to start a business, or I'm, trying to advance my career in this way. And so a lot of my coaching at first was kind of all over the place. It was on a case-by-case basis, and I was trying to be kind of all things to all people. And then my coaching started to evolve when I started getting people who didn't necessarily have a hard life goal that they wanted to accomplish. People just wanted to feel better about themselves. People wanted to get back to themselves. People wanted to figure out who they were, because they realized that they were living a life or on a path that was getting them further and further away from their authentic self. Yeah. And they were just saying, like, I need help. I need to figure out who I am now in this season. I need help. I've been in this job for 25 years and it no longer serves me. Or I want to pivot and I have no idea how to do that. My coaching has pivoted into helping women do just that. Figuring out who they are and how to be who they are and how to live in that space of being their authentic self.
I love that. Yeah, because I think we all need that. We need those groups, those support, because you're right. It's not always, sometimes the goal is just uncovering who we are supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you've uncovered who you're supposed to be at this point fully, or do you feel like there's a little bit more pivoting you or resetting you might do?
I think there's always more pivoting to be done, but I think that I have reached a space where I'm cruising in my own lane, right? I know what direction I'm going. I'm not sure where it will end up, but I'm in a place where I'm like, okay, I'm on the right freeway.
I love it. I love it. What are you doing then to keep yourself, since you're such a giver, you're coaching and you're doing all those things, how do you keep yourself nourished? How do you keep yourself grounded and rooted? Who's coaching you, my love?
Yes. So one of the things that really helps me is just I stay in community. Isolation is dangerous. And I say that as a person who has experienced bouts of depression. Isolation is really dangerous. So I have been forcing myself to go out more so that I can be a community, so I can be around other women who are on this path, who are out enjoying life, women who like to network, women who are also entrepreneurs or coaches. So going to, cocktail hours, networking events, going to conferences, also just getting out of my house, even though I love working from home, going to co-working spaces and meeting folks. That's how I nourish myself. I am an introvert, and so, I do have to recharge a lot when I'm being social, but also there's such a gift of being in community and being around people, picking up on that energy and letting people experience you, and experiencing other people is so important, because you can get to that place where you feel stuck, you feel alone, and you kind of physically put yourself in a position where you are alone. And then, you don't grow. You don't grow in those ways.
And it's funny because when you said isolation was dangerous, it made me think like, and I understand it because I've been in those spaces where you're right. It is dangerous because especially if you're not in the right headspace, you leave yourself too open to stay in that pit. But sometimes I feel like you do need to isolate yourself so that you can focus, so that you can like get yourself together. Like I do. I feel like the panini, the COVID was a good time. Like that's how I did this. I birthed it because I actually sat down long enough or got sat down where it was like, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and really dive in. Do you feel like sometimes you thrive in isolation as well, or do you just kind of still feel like isolation again? It's more about community for you.
Absolutely. So the thing that I think is important to note, even in community, individuals are important, right? Individuals and individuality are very important in community. Like people will say, there's no I in team. There is an I in community. Okay? So you have to focus a lot on yourself. And just like you said, there will be times where you need to pull back, right, from those spaces and spend time alone with yourself to get clear on your thoughts, to get clear on your direction, to have some time to listen to your intuition, because you can't do that when, there are so many other voices and energies around. So I think community really is about balance. How I see community is, community really is what you make it, but it's a gathering of people who come together with different ideas, resources, talents, etc. And you can draw from that when and if you need to, right? You can be part of a community without spending time with people every single day. Right? You can be part of a community and not have to go to brunch every weekend, right? You can be a part of a community and show up when you need to, but also let people know that you're available if they need you, right? It's not a constant thing. Community is like that group, that loyalty, that agreement of we are here for each other, but we don't always have to be in each other's space.
Agreed. And I think that's where like people sometimes like don't open themselves up to community because of that. It's like they feel like, oh my God, I got to be in there all the time. And it's like, no, it can balance it out. You can take a little bit of you and a little bit of people, it's like a 50-50 quota. So I appreciate that perspective, because I think sometimes we're a little too hard line about it. And, you got to work in silence and violence, one of my favorite sayings, bad girls move in silence and violence. You're right. I totally do move in silence and violence. However, I also love being in community with like-minded people, because the energy that you can get, the ideas that you can birth, it is beautiful, because there are people who just show you that what you're thinking makes sense, and why not try it?
Yeah.
Why not? So I love that. And I love that you're creating those spaces. So I have a few rapid fire questions. It's funny. We've kind of started going through them because you've already given me like one of your favorite songs, but I'm going to ask you, like, obviously, you are this wonderful light. You are in coaching and motivating people. What is one ratchet song that you love? I know you have one ratchet song. We all have it,
Oh, a ratchet song?
Yes, that you just love. You don't tell people about, but when you're in your car, you are jamming that song because you have a 15-year-old. So I know you are listening.
And he knows this song. It's by NLE Choppa, and it's called dang, what is the song called? That's the thing. I'm telling you, I don't know the names of these songs, but I listen to it all the time. It's called Camelot.
Okay. I have never heard that one, so I'm going to listen to it this afternoon because I'm a little dated. So I've heard of NLE Chopper. I've never heard anything that NLE Chopper has put out, probably that I know, but I want to add that to the repertoire so I can figure it out. So good. Yes. Because
that's the one.
That's the one. So like it kind of gets you hyped. Do you guys like dance in the car to it?
We do.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, got to keep it young, keep it hype, with the kids. It's fun. It's fun. We don't have to tell anybody, but it's fun. We do that. So then I have another question. What is your word for 2023?
My word?
Mm-hmm. Or do you have a word? Let me start there.
I usually do. I haven't thought this one through, but if there is, it would be elevate.
Ooh. Okay. I like that. It's all about elevation and light for you this year, huh?
Yes.
I love it. You've already told me that you're happy. And I love that because I feel like that is something that we should really talk about. Like we should talk about being happy the way that we talk about being healing and all these wonderful things, the seasons of happiness. What is one thing that you prioritize doing daily for your happiness?
Ooh. Daily, I would say cooking.
Okay. You cook every day?
Almost every day. Yep.
Bless you. Your son is lucky.
He likes to eat too.
I bet. He's 15.
Yes. I love cooking. It makes me happy. It makes me feel productive. I just feel like it makes me feel powerful knowing that I can take something and turn it into something else. It always puts me in a great space. I think a lot when I'm cooking. Like that's like my meditation. I pray when I'm cooking. It's just like it gets me in a groove.
I love it. Yeah, that's awesome. And I like to cook too, even though I'm giving you a hard time about cooking every day. I don't cook every day, but I like to cook. But it just sounds like such a beautiful ritual for you. Mm-hmm. And I love that you prioritize that for yourself on a daily basis. What is the last thing that you've read, or what is one thing that you're currently reading?
So I am a person that goes back to books a lot.
Okay.
So I will reread sections of different books. So the book that I'm currently in is called Energetic Boundaries. And I'm blanking on the author, but it's a really good book just about how to protect your inner phrase around a lot. And we think it means like cutting people off or doing this and that, but it's just how to get into a space where you're not always triggered or moved or upset at things that are going on externally. And I think that is something that everyone could stand to work on. I know that, the internet has been up in flames, girl, about Keke Palmer's outfit and her child's father. But that's like something that is external, right? People are going crazy about the new Instagram app or all these things these external things are happening, and they change our energy. They shift how we think. They might deter our entire day. And so we have to get good about knowing what to take in and what to block out. And I think this book does an excellent job of that. So I have gone back to it for different sections. I have things highlighted and tabbed that I need to reread or check out. So that's my book right now.
Energetic Boundaries.
Energetic Boundaries.
Okay, I'm going to look it up because I do want to make sure I put that in the show notes and I'm actually probably going to add that to my reading list because it does sound very interesting. I'm a big energy person myself, and it is very important to protect yourself because you're right. You just, there's so many things out here that distract us, social media in particular. So yes, I do love that. And I am on Thread. I just started it. I actually like it because it's positive right now.
Yeah, right now. We'll see what happens.
I totally agree, but it is fun, and everybody has like such good vibes. So I'm praying that the good vibes last. But I think I better pick up a copy of Energetic Boundaries because this is reality.
It's reality.
Never know. It is. So then I have two final questions. My first question for you is this: if there was one thing that you would want my audience to know about you, what would that one thing be?
Oh, just one thing. I think the most important thing to know about me is that I keep going. People who have, I'm old. I'm dial-up internet old. Okay, so I've been on the internet for a while, and I actually have people. I realize I've been on Instagram since Instagram first started, which is like 13 or 14 years ago, right? And there are people who have been following me since then. And you will see that my life changes from time to time. Like I'm here, I'm there, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm working with this, I'm doing that. But I just keep going, right? I keep progressing. I am a person that is always going to be moving forward. And so, if you drop me off and leave me somewhere, I will not be in that same spot when you come back. I'm going to keep moving. It's so funny because I was talking to someone earlier today and I haven't seen them probably like in 3 months. So they're like, what's new? And I like rattled off 12 different things. And they're like, oh my God.
I love that.
I feel like I just saw you. I'm like, yeah, I'm moving forward. I'm doing this. I got this going. Like, I'm moving.
You moving and life is keep going. And hey, catch me if you can.
Yes. Catch me if you can.
I love that. And then finally, ma'am, where can we find you? How can we support you? Because you have a podcast and we really didn't dive into the podcast, which means that you're going to have to come back so we can talk more about that. But yes, please let us know all of the details.
Yes. So I kind of am in a lot of places, but the one place you can always find me is Instagram at Brandy was here _ the other place you can find me, and I just updated my website this week, so it's pretty accurate with things that are going on, but brandywashere.com is where you can find everything else. You can get a link to the podcast. You can find out about my coaching programs and whatever else I have going on.
Oh, I love it. Well, we definitely want to support you. And like I said, do want to have you back to talk about the podcast and kind of like giving us more detail. Or can you tell us a little bit more about it? Like right now, I know that was promised. That was the last question, but
Yeah. So I started my podcast during the pandemic. I was trying to think of a way where trying to find a vehicle where I could share a lot of the information and a lot of the wisdom that I had personally learned from a lot of different people in my life. The people who are not trying to be internet famous and influencers. I wanted them to be able to share their stories and their wisdom to people because I think it's important. I think we don't always value the people in our lives, right? We uphold people who have the degrees or who've made all this money. But when I looked around my circle and the people that I knew, I'm like, oh my God, this woman lived next door to me when I grew up. And I remember these things that she told me. I wonder if I could get her to share some insight or, my mom is always giving me good advice. Like, I wonder if she'll be open to talking and sharing with other people. I started my podcast in that way in an effort to get people to share wisdom on their life journey to help someone else who might be going through different things. And so I'm now on my 4th season of the podcast. Yeah, I know. I didn't know where it would go beyond that first season, but here we are. And so I have an episode pretty much every week, sometimes every other week, where I'm interviewing folks on their life journey and they're just sharing advice from the things that they learn in hopes that you don't, repeat their mistakes so that you'll get some value from what they've gone through.
Exactly. And I love it because it's another sister out here trying to help us all see that we can pivot away from the things that didn't work from someone else and learn. I feel that. So I definitely will continue support, and I will make sure I have your podcast information also in the show notes and make sure you're tagged and everything, because I want everybody to support you. I feel like there's never too many voices in the space. Like everybody probably thinks that sounds right. People think that sounds weird, but I'm like, no, because just because I have a certain perspective or even you have a perspective about something, it doesn't mean that all of us are wrong. It's just our experiences are shaping how we think about something, and we just want to offer it out there as guidance to help you navigate your journey. So it's all about love, support, and encouragement. So I really appreciate you sitting down with me today and talking to me, because this was a really much needed conversation today. Today has been a day, child. It has been a day, to say the least. But I am so grateful for this time with you. So I want to thank you for coming. And I promise I will definitely have you back.
Yes, thank you for having me. And I am looking forward to coming back.
Awesome. So we definitely will have Brandy back soon, guys. And I will have all of her information in the show notes, including that book. Because yes, I definitely think we need to all focus on our energetic boundaries. Yes. And I hope you all have an amazing rest of the weekend. Take care of yourselves and each other. And we will talk soon. Okay? Have a good one. Bye.